the way in which we actually got here was because we, our families and our ancestors contributed to fighting for Britain.
I've learned how the Muslims contributed towards the British war and helped the British, overcome the enemy.
I mean, it's so inspiring because, of course, for many people, the stories of their ancestors about the war, the stories they didn't want to tell.
I just thought it was all about the British Empire, probably just Christians all just going out to fight. I just didn't even know. I was shocked when I heard that even Muslims, Sikhs, Indians, all kinds were in the war. Am I really British? Am I Pakistani? What am I really? So obviously this workshop can obviously help you find your identity, because then you find out probably your family, your generation was in the World War.
They feel quite disenfranchised, and that's not the disinterested in politics, it's not the disengaged, but party politics just isn't appealing to young people anymore.
They don't listen to young people, so I think there's a massive gap.
They're kind of locked away in Westminster and don't seem that connected with us.
I think it's good that there are people who care about what I think, so by putting on these events and saying, oh, come to somewhere where we're going to listen to what you have to say, where we're going to write about what you have to say.
People who we met 3 weeks ago saying that they weren't engaged or involved in politics, now saying that they want to take it back to their hometown, which really is what we wanted. We've got them engaging with MPs from the 4 major parties, talking to each other and talking to people about politics.
A very English Islam garden party that we held here today is really an exploration of the nature and the future of English Islam, inspired by the garden that we're in. This was originally the site where 21 Muslim soldiers who fought for Britain in the First World War were buried. And this has since been turned into a peace garden. A garden is sacred in Islam and certainly very, very special in English culture. The fact that an Islamic looking garden can be created with English planting, I think speaks to something broader than just the original purpose of remembering the war dead. It also speaks to the narrative of the legacy that Islam has had in England, going back to Victorian times at least.
Sometimes you sit down in a restaurant, starving hungry, but they've got nothing that sounds very appetising. When it comes to Brexit, the fixed menu seems very narrow indeed. Most of us would like a good trade deal with Europe for British business, but that always comes served with a liberal helping of free movement, which isn't to everyone's taste. And it seems the only alternative is thin gruel, the hardest, coldest Brexit of all. That's not much of a choice. Could we order off the menu? The first rule is, don't be rude to the waiter, thank you. But you also need an idea of what you want the kitchen to cook up. If we can't reach a deal by the time the Article 50 clock runs out in 2019, that will count as a failure for both sides. The logical outcome for immigration is that we would then apply the same rules for Europeans as we do for outside the EU. But we could make Europe a much more attractive offer than that, one that gives us the control over immigration that the public want, but is appealing enough to the EU that we can still get a strong free trade deal.
We're trying to get everybody to show their support for England this summer by taking a picture of themselves supporting the England team. We'll then tweet that, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram and tag it. We're asking everyone to get involved. We've got a little dressing up box here with England hats, England flags, all sorts. Let's hope we get everyone involved today. We've got footballing legend Laurie McMenemy with us as well. And let's hope we get everybody showing that we can all get behind the England team, no matter what race you are, no matter what religion you are.
I want England to win, and if they win, I would be very happy for them.
It's been 50 years since England has won a tournament. I think this time we definitely can win it.
Football has a uniting power of bringing different peoples of different races, backgrounds all together to support one team. And there's nothing greater than supporting your own national team, and that's why we're supporting We're All England.
Come on, England, you can win it. Come on, you can do this. Come on, England. Come on, England.